I get like that too if I'm recording.
I'm a little bit nervous.
No, that's because you're recording.
1, 2, 3. Hey everyone, welcome to Canei Business Podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to business people, entrepreneur, career people who are trying to make money and live a strong, positive financial life. Today we have Dre Parker, close friend of mine. He's a wealth coach, an entrepreneur, an author, a family man, and he's here to share some of his insights and experience working in the financial industry, his insights and experience as a father, as an author, and as a businessman. So, how you doing today, Dre Parker?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. You gotta keep it formal. We're actually good friends. We're actually neighbors. We live like 5 minutes away. No, I'm doing wonderful today. I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So why don't you tell some of the people about your background, how you end up in the financial industry, kind of like where you started from to where you are right now.
Whoa, from the very beginning. All right, so rewind 47 odd years ago. No, I grew up to a single mom in low-income housing in a place called Middletown, Connecticut. We grew up in the projects.
Yeah,
so,
see, he doesn't even look like he's 47.
Yeah, that's part of the fitness part,
Okay.
But that was, growing up in the projects is really different. Most of my family lived in the projects, so I did start working at the age of 13. So I learned hard work from my mom. She pretty much was a go-getter, hard worker. And then eventually growing up, because you're on this business podcast and you're giving business to the world, I started a business at 21 years old. Mm-hmm. I got bit by an entrepreneur bug. I found a person who was selling clothes on the street, and I said, you know what? I could do that. So I got my vendor's license, started selling clothes on the street. But honestly, Ramon, in Connecticut, it gets cold in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. So I was out there pretty much, every season. But I vowed that the last winter of 94, I remember specifically, I said, next year, I'm getting a storefront. So at age 22, I opened up my first clothing store.
So let me get this right. You were on the street selling clothes.
Yes, with my vendor's license. And
you need a vendor's license to sell clothes on the street?
Yeah, well, back then it was like that. And, in Connecticut, it was like that. But, hey, I'm telling you, I was out there in December. Now, of course, retail season is December.
Yeah.
But in Connecticut, it snows.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, one of my partners, one of my good friends, he was like, Dre, man, it's cold out here. I was like, man, it's cold, but these people are buying my stuff up. So I'm like, I can't pack up. He was like, man, you gonna be all right? I'm like, yep. Because, back then, we were taught to hustle for money.
Right.
Nowadays we know that it's really systems really produce wealth.
Right.
But back then it was like work, hustle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after that was it for me. I saved up more of my money and I opened up my very first brick and mortar clothing store.
Okay.
At 22.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How did that feel when you first got your first store?
Man, it was amazing. Chamber of Commerce came, cut the ribbon. It was a bittersweet moment because my grandmother, she was like an amazing woman. Like she had lung cancer at the time. And I'll never forget setting up everything in the store. She was helping me out. So we opened up December 95. And it was just awesome. And then unfortunately, and I made really good money. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I lost her. She lost the battle of lung cancer in that spring. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget, like, the whole family was proud of me. Mm-hmm. But Ramon, I mean, you're talking to a kid from the projects. I made $3,000 to $5,000 a week.
Okay.
And a year and a half later, I'm out of business.
How did that happen?
Because mismanagement of money.
What were you doing with your money? You were a little bit?
No, I just wasn't smart business-wise.
Okay.
I was just taught to hustle. I didn't have any mentors, to be honest with you. But a year and a half later, I'm out of business. I'm stressed out. I didn't realize how stressed business could be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a year and a half later, I'm out of business. I had my uncle take over, and I moved now here to Atlanta. This is when I met my lovely wife, and my whole life changed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
what made you decide to get into the financial industry? Like, what was that journey like for you?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I've always worked hard. Mm-hmm. I've always made some decent money. With the store, I made good money. But the reflection is really, honestly, looking back at all the money that I could have potentially, I could have been a millionaire before 30 if I had financial principles. So what got me to the industry, this is a funny story. I was in fitness. That's how I met you.
You said at LA Fitness?
Yeah, part-time I was at LA Fitness. And the reason why I got into fitness, honestly, because I had hypertension. I was taking like 50 milligrams with Cinepril. I was well overweight. So I lost the weight, got into, the fitness journey, helped other people do that. But I came across, he's actually my marketing coach now, this brother by the name of Marquel. He inboxed me on Facebook. Like, hey, I got an opportunity for you. And I was like, what is it? We teach people personal financial success. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, yeah.
Did you guys have a relationship before, or
no?
Just this random guy?
I mean, we were friends on Facebook, but come on, guys, you know how Facebook. I didn't know him. I mean, today we're real cool and good friends.
Okay.
But he inboxed me. I checked it out, and I was like, I'm in.
Just like that.
I'm in. Because you see, the problem with most people have, I realize, is when there's a good opportunity, you should take it. I was like, I never knew about money. It's going to teach me about, investing, stocks, bonds, things of that nature, cash flow management, all the stuff that we help, clients with now. But I was in after, I made a quick decision. And from there, we built the relationship. Everything's about building relationships. And that's what got me in, teaching people about money, investing. And I said, you know what? Go further, get licensed. So I became a licensed financial professional.
Okay.
So that's what, and honestly, I did it first for me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was like, I need to learn money, So that's the reason why I got into the financial industry.
Yeah. I of course, like you said, we met at LA Fitness first, and I was never a personal trainer. I was just selling personal training memberships.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do personal training at all because I had one client. And I had her run laps, and she
never came back.
She was done. She was done in 5 minutes. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of how I moved into the financial industry too. I wanted to do something for myself. That was my interest. How can I understand money, learn money, and make a lot of money?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what brought me in. So you've been in the industry for quite a while now.
Yeah, actually, licensed over 5 years, but for the last 7 years, been teaching people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a tough industry. There's a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
People come in, they test it out, but they're towing it.
Yeah.
And they dip.
We get a lot of that, right?
As soon as someone says no, like, they're gone.
Right. Yeah.
So, as soon as their uncle says no, I'm good. They're done. Right. Yeah. So what has kept you in the industry so long? Like, where so many people just run away as soon as a little adversity strikes.
The mission. Honestly, everyone out there, and I teach people now, you really got to have a purpose-driven life. For me, it was the mission. Like, I loved learning about money and finance, and I loved teaching other people. And my mission was bigger than the commission at first. Because at first, when you get into the industry, you got to build your book of business. You're still learning. It was, it was a challenge there. But my mission was to cure financial cancer and to help, people who grew up in poverty like myself, help them shift their mindset. And there's a lot, if you look at America, whether it's low income, middle income, there's a lot of people who struggle financially. Just look at how many people live paycheck to paycheck. So I had a big mission to cure financial cancer. So when people were telling me no, they weren't telling me no, they were just saying no to themselves, because if you look at the stats, people who are saying no or skeptical of investing or, it's just bad money habits, they're going to be the ones that's going to be a part of those stats later on, where either family, friends, or government is going to have to take care of them.
And what you just said is very important, because that took me a while to fully understand. Like, when someone tells you no, they're really saying no to themselves.
Right.
So, like, even now, when I have a referral, like if you ask someone for a referral, they just give you someone's phone number and name. Right. They may tell this person that this guy's gonna call. But when I call, one of the questions I ask besides is, are you looking for an advisor at this time? Right. Because sometimes in the past I've spoken to someone who wasn't ready, and then you try to make them ready.
Yeah.
And when they're not ready,
Yeah.
then now you're calling them, they answer the phone, all that kind of stuff. So that's just a part of understanding that their no is saying no to themselves and not you, and you just have to be good with that. And their yes sometimes is a no. They just don't want to tell you.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't want to tell you no. So they say yes because they're a nice person. But that's very important, especially if you want to stay in this industry long, is to understand.
Right.
To work with people that want to work with you.
You gotta have a big mission for any, like, whether it's this industry or anything else. People, how many people have you come across, Ramon, honestly, that they want to make money?
Mm-hmm.
They want to make money.
Everybody want to make money.
But you gotta have a big mission. I love what Robert Kiyosaki says. In business, you gotta have a financial mission and a spiritual mission.
Mm-hmm.
The spiritual mission will help you when the finances are not coming in.
Mm-hmm. So
that's big.
Okay, so that's good. So what is your spiritual mission like? What is the spiritual part of finances for you?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Honestly, if I can get people to get their money energy up and their anxiety away when it comes to money, and they get money problems out the way, then they can actually live in their full potential, be happy, actually do what they were really placed here to do.
Right.
But so many people are caught up in, I gotta work.
Yeah.
I work a job I hate.
Yeah, you gotta survive.
Yeah, they're in survival mode. So my spiritual mission is I can get people to understand money and help them with their psychology of money. That's really the first step.
Okay.
And then, teach them financial principles and have them starting to invest. After that, once they get that going, then they can start looking at, then there's more options, right? So it's like, you know what? I know money now. I always wanted to open up a restaurant. I always wanted to do X, Y, Z. So now they're living their life intentionally on what they really want to do.
Yeah. And I think spirituality is a part of business is very important too, because sometimes you have to rest on faith.
Yes, you do. Whoa! What? Anybody who's not an entrepreneur listening to this podcast, if you ever think about it, I had a good friend. He was like, sometimes you got to jump, and when you jump, I know Steve Harvey says that a lot, but when you jump, boy, you don't know if that next check or next commission is coming in. You gotta have faith. So many people quit. They're like, oh no, I didn't get, because people are used to, they're programmed to get, okay, I get paid every 2 weeks. They're like that parakeet in the cage. And I'm not, I've never been that type of person.
Yeah, I think business is the ultimate test of faith. It's ultimate. It's very easy to say you have faith when like financially something's gonna happen every 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
It's it's a whole different thing when you have nothing in the pipeline and you have to pay bills. Like that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this lady last night. I think she's on the verge of a breakthrough, right? Because she has a medical company. And she has all these people coming to her, but she just doesn't have the capacity to accept people who wants to pay with their health insurance. They have to pay out of their pocket because she didn't want to initially invest the money. So now she's like this close to being able to accept it, but her income is just troughing. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, this is just all part of the game. She's like, why it gotta be so hard? Like, it has to be this hard.
It has to be. Like, there's like, why do we want? Like, that's part of our growth process.
Yeah.
I automatically accept it, and I teach my kids this now too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that growing up. I'm like, this is insane.
You don't know, like a great book I've read. There's the book called The Fountainhead, right?
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah. And what's amazing about the book is the guy's an entrepreneur too. He's an architect. And he already understood that all of this negative stuff is going to come with doing what he loves to do.
Absolutely.
So he held no grudges, no animosity to anyone who did anything, even his best friend, his girlfriend, who would try to sabotage him. There was nothing, right? Because he understood that this is just a part of the process, right? This is the process of becoming wealthy, becoming an entrepreneur, to living your dream of your life.
Right.
You can't. Your bank account's gonna look a certain way sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tight sometimes.
Yes. It's gonna be tight. You really gotta have faith.
Yeah.
Like there's so many stories of faith where it's it's nothing but divine intervention. Like when you least expect it, like it's almost like God, whatever you believe in, God, the angels, they're sitting by. They're like, oh, it's time to step in now. He's about to lose everything. Let's jump in. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I mean. You can't have your faith tested until you go through some tests.
Yeah, that's true. Now you're an author.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of books have you written, and what are they about?
I'm glad you asked that. That's my whole brand. The first book I wrote was The 4 Cornerstones of Your Success, Building a Life Beyond Your Imagination. And it was based on faith, family, fitness, and finance. Those are my 4 cornerstones. I realized a lot of people struggle with those 4 cornerstones. So that was the first book. That was my mission. You know, in my community growing up, people suffer from bad health and nutrition. That's why I got into personal training and nutrition. People suffer from bad finances. Divorce rate, relationships, you know, pretty horrible. No one taught us how to build effective, meaningful relationships. So I talk about building family, building great relationships. And the faith part, doesn't matter what religious background you have. I'm dealing with faith when it comes to limiting beliefs, things that, you know, we feed ourselves throughout our lives that keep us stuck in a certain level. So that was my first book. Second book was on marriage, 4 Cornerstones of Marriage. I actually have 2 more books I'm working on right now.
Okay.
COVID has been really good to me creatively. So yeah, the third book is called Becoming More.
Okay.
And that's, I believe, it's going to be a pretty easy read, but it's really going to help people along the way, realizing that in order to have more, you got to be more.
Okay.
And then the other book is, I'm working on it, the 48 perspectives of life.
48 of them.
Yeah, because I'll be 48 this year.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I see.
So yeah, but yeah, I love writing books. I love writing just to give people things to, you know, think about and learn from.
Okay, that's awesome. So how do you find time to write the books? Are you like one of those people who wake up in the morning at a set time and write the books, or you write on inspiration? Like what do you do?
Inspiration.
Okay.
Like the first book, I realized like it was no given time. Like I would go to bed, maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock, and 3 o'clock I'm up. I'm like, you know, and I teach people, you gotta, if you're gonna work anything, having the inspired action is the best way. So I've learned, because when you try to force it, it doesn't. You're not going to be as creative. Okay. So I always take inspired action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the second book, the book about marriage, right?
Yes. Marriage. Oh, buddy.
Awesome. Because I know your wife.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Yeah. She's pretty dope.
Yeah. You know us in the good phase.
In the good phase.
You didn't know the horrific stories that we went through.
But you touched on that in the book, right?
Yeah. I did.
And then because she kind of have like this tomboy thing going for her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she's like cool, but
she's cool and gangster. Oh man. Shot and kill.
Yeah. So why don't you share with the people like some of your perspectives on marriage and you know how long you been married? Like 20 years now?
It'll be 20 next year. We just 19 years, but we've been together for 22 years.
Yeah. So no, that's a huge accomplishment in itself.
Yes, it is.
Not a lot of people make it that far.
Yeah.
And people who make it that far, not all of them make it with the type of intimacy that I see with you guys. Like you guys like homeboys.
Yeah,
homeboys.
man. And you know so Ramon, I'm glad you touched on that. Like I love coaching people in that area, because when I see couples go through certain things, I'm like, okay, I already know the red flags and certain things. And the book is really my way of giving you a blueprint to marital bliss, because it wasn't like that before. And I'm gonna be honest, when couples come to me because they know I wrote a book, they're like, I need you to talk to my wife. I'm like, why? Like, or fix my wife or fix my husband. How come my husband can't think the way you think? I'm like, because he's not the same person. But a lot of couples want you to fix their mate or their partner, and it doesn't work that way. You got to fix yourself first. Yeah, and that's what I did in my marriage. And my wife always says that, oh, it was all him, but she had to allow me to want to be a better man. Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's it's going to be the most challenging thing you do in life, because in business you have a certain amount of control, but in a relationship you're banking on the person is going to always feel the same way, never going to change, but that's just not real, you know. Yeah, but there's a way that you can grow together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how outlined in the book, or what?
Yeah, a lot of it's in the book, and a lot of it's in the coaching program, and a lot of this stuff I share. See, when it comes to human relations, this is the biggest thing. We lose and we forget things along the way in life, and when we meet someone, there's like a magnetic attraction. They have certain qualities that you've either lost or given away throughout life, and you're like, I'm attracted to this person. You know, whether it's beauty, sex appeal, or whatever it is. And then you get involved with the person, and then you realize, oh, the same traits that are in people that you admire are in you. Once you reclaim those for yourself, a lot of times in relationships, you're like, I reclaimed it. Let me move on to see who else I can be with. But I think the deeper levels of love, you can reclaim certain qualities that you find in a person and see how deep you can go. I think a lot of people are afraid to go deeper, or they're afraid to say, hey, let me see how far I can go. Or a lot of times we just want to go ahead and say, well, what else is out there?
Right.
Well, when you're a complete person, you don't need to look for anything else. That's why I say you got to work on you.
Yeah, you got to focus on you. You got to fix you first.
You got to fix you first.
Right. And so let's talk about that real quick. Fix you first. Right. What, I'm not married. But
that's all right.
But what I've noticed is when a relationship starts, right, from my perspective, something I just discovered this year, when a relationship starts and you start liking someone, you are always thinking about the best qualities of this person, right?
Yes, you
You're
are.
like, oh, she's cute, she got this going, she got this kind of body, she's that, is this. So you're highlighting all the positives at the beginning of the relationship.
Yes, you are.
And then as the relationship progresses, you're like, oh, she's annoying, this is that. And then as human beings, we are more focused on the negatives than the positives, right? Like I gave one of my friends a compliment, and I told him that he's a good friend, you know, he's still by my side, and he's a pain in the ass. Now, guess what he focused on, right?
The pain
in the ass.
Of course.
Right? He forgot all the other stuff that I said.
Yeah.
Now he's only focused on the pain in the
ass. Why pain in the ass? Like, did you hear all the other stuff?
Right? So it's the same thing. Like, so you finally with this person that you had all these great things to say and all these qualities that they had, and now you're just looking at the negatives with this person, and the negatives just starts piling up. And you forget that this is that person this is that guy that was tall that you like with a nice smile, or that is doing stuff and has a career and all that. So you forgot all.
You forget, but that's normal though.
Yeah, it is normal.
It's a part of the characteristics of mating. When you first get with someone, your senses are heightened, your limbic system is hijacked. You got all this stuff happening with your hormones, and you overlook that stuff. And then, of course, like anything else, it's like the hedonic treadmill where eventually the feelings, the emotions subside, and you come back to reality. Yeah, you can't live in that euphoria state in your relationship. Yeah, but I teach people you have the control to create that, because all emotions are fleeting. They're always going to be coming and going, but you have to be the emotional master, master emotional intelligence. But that happens to everybody. It happened to me and my wife. Yeah, and that's how I was like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah, we're not laughing anymore. And I'm like, oh, she's so annoying. Oh, she's so rude. And I'm like, all these things, you know, the very qualities that you probably like in the beginning, they become annoying. Like you said,
because like you're making the same jokes, right? The same joke. It was the same things. Like you saw in the beginning, they're making the same type of jokes, and you're like, oh, that's funny, that's cute. You know, it kind of ribs you a little bit, but you're like, oh, that's cute. But then as you get progressive down the road, it's like, okay, that's not funny, right?
Yeah, it's not funny. Yeah, it's, you know, if you can master knowing yourself and you master the relationship that you have with others, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
Right. I think part of it as well is learning to accept that person. You know, and I think that happens once you accept yourself too. Like that's what you said, becoming a complete person, a whole person, right? So when you learn to accept yourself and stop looking at your flaws, you'll start looking at other people's flaws. Yeah. Yeah, and you know Ed Milet, like we.
Oh yeah. Ed Milet, he's my guy, man.
Yeah, he says that what separates people who are highly successful is that they can stay excited for a very long time.
Right.
About something that they started a long time ago.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
Or they create excitement.
They create excitement.
Just like you create confidence.
Right.
You're born with it. You create it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I have this mental.
That's all right, man. You're a busy guy. You got people. You are a businessman.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So there's a guy named Darren Hardy, right?
Oh yeah, I love Darren Hardy.
He did this one thing. I follow him like religiously. He did this one thing with his wife when the relationship started going down.
Right.
Is he wrote one nice thing about her every single day in a journal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that changed. So because you're looking for the positives.
Right.
Right.
You'll
find them. Like when you look for the negatives, you're gonna find them. So he was looking for the positives, and when he starts seeing the positives day after day after day, it changed how he approached his wife. So I thought that was a real practical thing that someone can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm working with couples, I do a lot of deep diving into, like, really having them, talk about all the good things and why they want to be married and what was the reason why they got married and all these things. Because the only challenge that people have is they started believing this story after a while that they've been telling themselves about the relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's not really a true story. It's just some perspective that they held on to for so long, all the negative stuff. But you can really change any situation. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people are just not aware that they have the power to actually, change that whole situation.
Right. And that's like the crazy thing about being in the financial industry and financial coaching is like, it's not just about numbers.
No, Ramon.
Like
numbers are the last thing that we deal with.
It's one of the last things. Because even like when you are selling, you're not really. If someone trusts you, you're just giving them like 3 options. This is this one. Which one do you want?
Right.
And you could have someone else run the numbers, and it's just plug and play. Because last night I'm talking to this woman about spirituality, like having faith, staying the course. Right. I've had conversations with married couples where they're like, we're probably gonna go to counseling. Wow. Right. And then they decide not to go to counseling. And I'm not even married. I'm like, why are you listening to me? Why? Because I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
And then you have to talk to people about fitness. Yeah. Because that's gonna impact their health.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
that's part of their legacy. Yeah, like, gosh.
Yeah, imagine making all this.
Brother, we might need like 3 episodes on this whole financial thing, and it's honestly, you said that numbers is like one of the last things that we do. Yeah. For me, and I'll let you guys in on a secret. The first secret to really taking care of your money and building wealth and leaving a positive legacy is you gotta understand your financial DNA. Mm-hmm. Just like DNA is, a set of instructions on all living things have. Mm-hmm. Well, your financial DNA is a set of beliefs, that instruct you on how to think, act, and feel about money. Mm-hmm. So I got to find out where that's at, because so many people, I'm sure you've come across this too, where I want to invest. And after you do their financial needs analysis, they have some people have, I've actually had people with some great positive cash flow. Mm-hmm. But they're so stuck in their money habits. Mm-hmm. Their financial DNA is pretty weak or pretty moderate, where I'm like, well, you want all this money in retirement, you need to contribute. Okay. But there's this thing that's stopping them, like, well, I want to keep my lifestyle up. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to have to sacrifice something if you want money later, because your future lifestyle is going to suffer.
Gotcha. So what consists of someone's financial DNA? What does that all consist of?
It's a set of beliefs that really start from the program of your childhood. Okay. Right. So things like, like me growing up, we heard, we don't have any money in this house. You're going to eat these leftovers. So all these things, nothing wrong with leftovers. It's just that, you have this scarcity mindset and along with feelings. So whenever you bring up money, it's going to, however you, like, you can, like, I love positive affirmations and all that stuff, Ramon, but it's really a bunch of crap if you say these things,
Mm-hmm.
and you're thinking these positive thoughts, and I have money and wealth, but you're not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can discover your financial DNA, and I'm always upgrading mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to upgrade it, and that means that, like, the old habits and old thoughts that you have when it comes to money, either spending money or saving or investing or taking risks and chances, you have to start to analyze it. Like, well, is this an old program?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to say, there it is again, showing his ugly head. Let me get that out. But a lot of people, they're not going to make it if they don't upgrade their financial DNA.
Yeah, and like, so I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, when people, especially if they're a religious faith, they hear money is the root of all evil.
Right.
So now they think making money is a
It's
bad
evil.
thing.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right. But it's actually the love of money.
Right.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Right. It's just the things that people do. No, think about it. Like, this is really big. Like, people become a slave to money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their money energy is very scattered, and you have a lot of money energy leaks. So they work jobs because it has good benefits, but they hate the job.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing all this stuff for the love of being able to survive. Well, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but you got to start looking at yourself differently. Like, are you doing all this stuff for benefits? You become a slave to the money, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
I meet so many people who they really hate. They hate going to work.
Yeah.
They can't stand it.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
I'm like, well, why don't you quit? I can't. Why not? And then even I've come to the point where it's like, as a financial professional, I'm like, okay, how much you make? And then we start doing the numbers thing, but then remember, their DNA, financial DNA is weak. So I show them a plan on, oh, this is what you need to do. And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, okay, work till you die.
Yeah. Yeah, you get into a routine and
Right.
A comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it's hard to break free.
It is. We're speaking on things that we know about, and knowing is half the battle. Knowing, and then you upgrading and doing it. So I talk about 3 secrets all the time. First secret, discovering your financial DNA. Second secret is you have to unlearn the program to relearn really how money and legacy really works. Third secret is putting the practice of new money and legacy action steps in place. So you got to put the action steps in place.
Okay.
Those are the 3 secrets. Like, once you do that, now you're rolling.
Gotcha. So let's change course a bit. We're entered into the age of COVID-19. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything is different now.
Yeah.
Everything is different. A few years ago, we just got on Zoom, you and I.
Yeah.
We started utilizing Zoom.
Yeah, thank God we did,
Right? And now everyone's utilizing Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty cool too, because now you don't have to walk most of your clients anymore on how to get on Zoom, because a lot of people have it now.
I know. I'm like, connect the audio. I'm like, I see you, but connect the audio. They're like, I'm putting it in the chat, like, oh man.
Yeah, it was terrible at first, but now, like, even the kids now.
I know.
Yeah, even these kids now. And in the financial industry, we used to have to visit people's homes.
Right. Yes, we did.
That's
Or they come to our office.
Or come to our office.
Our beautiful office.
Now that's out.
Yeah.
And especially people not trying to drive no more, especially when most people are working from home.
Right.
And the kids are, right. So how have you adjusted so far?
I'm glad you asked that question. The foresight to be able to, 2018, I hired a marketing coach. Same guy who got me peeked into the financial industry. He became a guru at internet marketing. So I hired him on as a mentor. That's why I say you better, if you want to cut the time I have, get a good mentor. So 2018, I did that, joined this marketing program, Client Attraction University. Shout out to Markwell. And that has changed the game for me, because now people don't understand this. There's 4 cornerstones of business, since we're talking about business. You have to have the financial piece now. Very important. And I go over this in I have a Balancer e-course, and it goes over pretty much creating balance in your personal and business life.
Do you have an e-course?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll give you all that information after, but finances.
Okay.
One thing I didn't do when I had my store, marketing and sales. That's another cornerstone of business. Obviously, when I had the store, I had a storefront, so on Main Street, so people, they seen it. So I had to learn that. It's coming from the old school. Operations, what you do in your daily operations, that's the third cornerstone. And the fourth cornerstone is leadership development. So if you're not mastering those four cornerstones in business, you're going to have some business challenges. So the marketing side, I knew I had some challenges there. On the internet, I'm old school. You see me in the office. We have seminars all the time in the office, and I love the energy of the people. So I'm like, I could do presentations with 100 people in the room, but now we have no one in the room. So 2018, I hired my marketing coach, and so just recently, an ad I've been running, I was pretty proud of it. Of course, he's still my marketing coach, but I got 100 leads in 2 weeks. I was like, so you got to learn ad copy and all these things like that.
That was on Facebook?
Yeah, okay. So I'm constantly working. That's the leadership development part. I'm constantly working because you gotta learn and grow. So I'm constantly learning more about the internet. It's so much money out there. The internet has saved good thing that we've been practicing this years before COVID hit. Because when everything shut down, the team and I, we didn't skip a beat. As a matter of fact, a new associate I brought on, she just got licensed this year in March. In August, she made 10 grand without seeing clients in 1 month.
Face to face, without seeing clients face to face?
Without seeing clients face to face. Zoom. 10 grand on Zoom. Just.
And it's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, because most of my Zoom appointments, I'm like in a
Oh, hey, I have to be honest. I've gotten my Zoom pictures all professional and nice, and then I don't come out on. If they want me to come out, I'm like, hey, I just came from the gym. I apologize. I haven't put my suit and tie on since COVID.
Yeah,
not going to the office.
Yeah,
but
yesterday I was in a t-shirt.
See,
I was in my t-shirt and a hat, and it was like, I got on there. She didn't say anything. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I like to give. So I'm glad you mentioned that because, I'm sure I'll be doing some future Zoom appointments. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this might be a big wig. Yeah. But honestly, Ramon, that stigma of the suit and tie. We wear suit and ties all the time. Yeah. Going to the office. We're dealing with clients who might have $1 million that we have to roll over or do something with. But I've learned people
don't really care about it.
They don't care what you have on. They care what's really in you, like in your heart and in your head. If you're strategic, because you can know everything, but if you don't care about the clients, so that's the biggest thing.
And that's a huge change now in our industry because there's the stereotypical financial person with a suit, a tie, no facial hair.
Yeah, we got people with dreads.
But and it right now, as far as understanding my profession and my career, you have to just work with people who want to work with you. You can't force no one who don't want to work with you to work with you. Right. You just have, and sometimes you just have to ask them frankly, am I the right person for you, and just have that honest conversation. Yeah. Because you will literally run yourself ragged trying to force someone who does not really want what you have to offer. Right. And then the people that want what you have to offer, they don't even care how you really present yourself. Yeah. They just want you can't look raggedy, you can't look like a bum. But you can be yourself, and then show them that you can take them to where they want to go, and they will listen to you and they'll follow you. And it's the best thing when someone says, "Well, what would you recommend that I do?" Right. And that's when they trust you.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the part, you talk about the financial DNA. That's the part that we had to upgrade. Because we want to make people work with us because we are very proficient at what we know our stuff. And we want to make people. And then I realized that's really scarcity. I don't need to force anyone to be when they're ready, they're ready. So now I just attract I'd rather deal with the right clients. Right. It's crazy. This, what's insane, and it is, I'll deal with a client who will have 400 to $500,000, and they're just boom, I lay out the plan, give everything out. And then sometimes I realize I talk to people with a scarcity mindset, and I'm like, okay, we did your financial needs analysis. This is suitable. We can do at least $100 a month into this one investment. And they're like, yeah, it's insane. They're like, you know, like people who don't have the money, and I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the money. They're afraid to invest. You got to go over the risk and everything. There's risk with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have the 400 to $500,000 or $1 million, and that's the reason why they have it, because they have a different money mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just challenging getting people to, you know, I used to get so stressed out about it, Ramon. I'm like, oh, if they only knew I'm trying to save them financially.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, you know, time. I don't waste time.
Yeah.
Time is not money to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's money. Time is life.
That's even bigger.
Yeah. I mean, like, people get, you know, in the business world, they're like, man, time is money. What you doing with your 24? I'm like, get out of here with that crap. We're all going to die one day. And on our deathbed, most people aren't going to be like, I should have made 10 more million or 100 million. We're going to think about the people that we love and care about.
Right.
Right. So time is life. You could, whether you choose to spend it making money or watching your favorite program on TV, whatever you decide to do with your time, you got to be okay with it. You know, I live with integrity, so everything I do is it's inspired action. If I'm going to spend 2 hours to hang out with my wife, I'm going to do that. Everything I do is inspired, so I don't have no regrets.
Gotcha.
I die today, I'm like, I'm dying empty. I have no regrets.
Gotcha. So let's go back to the to the marketing part.
Yeah.
Internet marketing.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So for me right now, I'm utilizing Facebook a bit, and I'm utilizing Google.
Okay.
Google Ads.
Okay, that's good. I don't know anything about Google Ads.
Huh?
I don't know.
It's almost exactly like the Facebook.
Okay.
I think it's one of those two companies copied each other because it's
Probably.
pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Right? Is the same way you set it up. You could ask for leads. You could ask for clicks. You could do that.
Right.
And you could have them channeled to your website or whatever. But it's very, very interesting using those programs because I get a lot of calls from like marketing companies who tell me that they could put me on first place at Google and all that kind of stuff and do this and pay this much, but it's very I don't know even know why I'm going into this, but it's very, very useful tools to use Facebook and Google Ads to put yourself out there because they're really bringing in that rate of return.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you about that 100 leads I just got.
Yeah,
it's averaging about $2 and something a lead.
it's crazy,
isn't it? It's all about the right. And a lot of people, it's just like anything else in business. If you're running ads or if you're running anything, especially if you don't have a marketing coach, a lot of people are like, ads don't work. They're wrong. You got to figure out, just like any other part of your business is not working.
Yeah,
you got to figure out where the disconnect is.
Right.
Okay.
So I remember why I brought that up because I wanted to let people know that there isn't any bigger platforms out there than Google, Bing, and Facebook. Right. Facebook owns Instagram.
Yeah.
And people are either on Facebook or on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if they're looking for something, they're going to look on Google.
Right.
Or Bing, if you're old. Bing is for old people. Right?
I'm not there yet with the thing.
Yeah. So those platforms, if you are in business, you have to put yourself on those platforms because they are pretty good. This one lady, like I was telling you, I might do a podcast for her. But this one lady, she puts herself on Bing. She was on Google, and she was getting all these people calling her, but she just couldn't close because of her setup.
Yeah. I mean, that's the disconnect. So now she has to work on her closing.
Right.
Yeah. That people who want to get in business it's not as easy, but the goal is if you never give up and you keep personal growth and development in business, and you figure this thing out, eventually your business, so the goal is not to be in business. The goal is to be in business and run your business with ease.
Right. And it's trial and error.
Yeah.
That's probably the hardest part too, is trying to just figure out where your lane is.
Right.
A lot of people give you advice and tell you do this that way, do it this way. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out like where your lane is, and once you figure out that lane, everything else will be.
It's very easy.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up on that note.
Yeah, man.
Dre Parker, financial advisor, financial coach,
yes,
entrepreneur, author. Oh, before we go, how can these people get in contact with you and learn more about you and your e-course? And
okay, perfect. So I have two businesses. Of course, the financial business. You can go to mymoneyandlegacy.com. That's MYMONEYAND. Legacy, of course. So mymoneyandlegacy.com for financial education. However, I always have to tell people this. When you see the educational videos up there, it doesn't mean that they apply to you. I literally have my calendar for me and the team up there. So schedule a complimentary 20-minute call, because everything that you see up there could possibly not be suitable for you. So like I said, it is educational. So go there to schedule a quick call with me and the team, and we can go over your personal, actual financial needs. So that's that. And then I have another business. Being in business in the financial industry, career-driven people, and entrepreneurs alike, they suffer from creating balance in their life. Like they'll burn their health and fitness down. When I've seen that when I was training people, like entrepreneurs, their marriage would go to hell in a handbasket, like mine almost did. So I have a Balance Your E-course, teaches people how to create balance in their personal and business life. You can go with workwithdreparker.com, workwithdreparker.com to go there, and that's the business that's going to keep people in alignment. That's going to get your mind right. That's more like life and business coaching.
Awesome. So again, guys, Dre Parker, entrepreneur, wealth coach, author, family man. And this is Canei Capital Business Podcast, helping financial professionals, entrepreneur, people who want to make money and live a positive lifestyle.
There you go.
Thank you. You guys be blessed.